It's a cold yet bright and sunny wintry day. You came out to Colorado, where I live, to head west on the famous I-70 highway through the Colorado Rockies to enter into the mountains. It is time to ski. Now, you've never skied before, and just the idea of balancing on two sticks while flying down that slick, snowy mountain gets you a little sweaty. You might be wondering if you'll be able to steer those things. And how on earth do you control your speed? Will you look cute in your snow bunny pants? All things you would understandably be thinking and possibly concerned about. Now, you're standing at the tip of the mountain and you become overwhelmed with the beauty, with the gorgeous, expansive view. That crisp mountain air fills your lungs with energy and you are ready to go. Slowly, you tip your skis down and you start skiing. You're wobbly, but you're standing. You tip your weight slightly to the left and magically the skis follow. You're turning. You tip them slightly to the right, you're turning right. Yes. Now this continues for a bit and you're making your way across the mountain in big, wide turns, which is perfect for a beginner. But then the mountain starts to drop off ever so slightly and all of a sudden it's steeper. Oh, you're not going so slow anymore now. In fact, you speed up pretty fast because the depth of the mountain is pulling you down. So in feeling this speed transition in just a matter of seconds, your panic sets in and you do the thing that every beginner skier does to try to control their speed. You brace against the mountain. You push those toes as hard as you can through the boot into the base of the skis and you dig your heels in at the same time and you literally throw yourself back. You brace against the mountain. You try to resist against those natural laws of gravity to stop yourself, but instead of stopping, you actually either catch an edge and maybe ride uncontrollably on a diagonal, or you brace so hard against that mountain that you throw yourself back and fall. This is a common human default instinct when you're a new skier. I did it for years when I was learning how to ski. Our default instinct to brace against and resist the natural flow is what we do to try to get the thing we want most in that moment to feel safe, which is control. We don't have control once that speed picks up and we want it now. But unfortunately, this instinct to brace against is not what's going to get you that control that you so desperately want. Expert skiers don't brace against the mountain to control their speed. They do just the opposite. They use the mountain. They use the depth of that mountain and that fierce force of gravity pulling them down to actually control their speed. They welcome the speed and graciously dive into it because they know that the speed itself is nothing to be feared. The speed can be masterfully manipulated when you know how to carve those edges of your skis into the mountain to shape every turn you do. Each turn cuts your speed. And then you get to decide how fast you go based on how many turns you want to make and how solid your technique is to deliver those turns. Advanced skiers come to the mountain with no fear of that mountain and no fear of that speed. Instead, they welcome it because they trust themselves to use their body and use their skills and technique to control the speed. So instead of feeling like they need to stop the natural laws and brace against them, they're excited to use those laws of nature for their enjoyment. They're ready to become one with the natural force. Bracing against the mountain is no different than bracing against your own appetite. If you want to stay in eating peacetime as a permanent state, there's no getting around needing to have a superbly peaceful and symbiotic relationship with your own appetite. Now, what is appetite really? Well, plain and simple, it's the natural force that keeps you alive. You or any creature on the planet can't stay alive without food. So we're all designed with a natural force to keep driving that food to get inside the body every single day. This is my dog, and she is the best embodied example of this force I can think of. Her drive to eat, her appetite is so strong that it gets activated the second she's invited to eat or sees food or smells it. There is no hesitation to pursue it and go eat. And her appetite's even more interesting because her body is finely regulated for when to be hungry. That dog has some kind of internal time machine because without fail, when the clock turns somewhere between 5:15 and 5:30 p.m., if she hasn't been fed yet, she will let me know about it. It's a dance that reminds me every day just how powerful and perfectly designed having an appetite really is. But now let's talk about humans. There are many people on this planet who, by using their thinking intelligence, have decided it would be a good thing to resist or even override this natural force called appetite. In the pursuit of wanting to stay slim and healthy, which of course is everyone's pursuit, they've come to believe that the best way to do that is to brace against their appetite. So unlike the doggies of the world, these people have decided to view their appetites as the opposite of natural and needed and desired. And instead, the appetite becomes something to be deeply feared, because to them, it represents the fastest way to be out of control. Just like the depth of that mountain represented that same fear for being out of control to that beginner skier. When I was in the throes of my food and body war, I'd say that the fear of my own appetite, fear of my own desire for food was so strong that the fear itself is what ultimately led to many of my eating behaviors that I didn't want, like binge eating. It was this fear that ultimately caused me to have the opposite of what I truly wanted, which was permanent fat loss, feeling peaceful and happy with this thing that I had to do every day, that I was going to do every day if I was going to stay alive, which is eat. Now, of course, I present this to you to just check in and see if this concept of bracing against your appetite resonates for you. I see that a fear of appetite is a very big common denominator for clients who've been in a food war for many years, and I was certainly no exception. So, what about you? I'm going to ask you some questions to be guided into clarity around your current relationship with your appetite. After you hear these questions, please consider pausing the video and journaling on them using the action guide to help you. Now, it's best to do that when it's fresh, so you don't have too long to overthink it. Okay, so here's the questions. When you think about your relationship with your appetite right now, where do you fall on the fear scale? 1 is you have no fear of your appetite taking you out of control, and in fact, you really love your appetite. And 10 is a full, intense fear of your own drive to eat that you feel and you interact with just about every day. Now think for a moment about your appetite as the driving force in your life that it is, and imagine it embodied as a person outside yourself. Who is that person that your appetite represents? Is it female or male? Is she a playful, innocent 6-year-old child? Or maybe she's a serious, more like a robot-like corporate executive who just thrives on structure and efficiency. Or if it's a man, is he a Santa Claus-like man, full of jolly and excitement? Or is your appetite a mean old Grinch who's kind of out to get you? How do you interact with this person? Are you excited to see them and play with them and talk to them and do activities with them? Or does just the idea of seeing them make you want to run away because you get all anxious inside? Now, as you write, key into the characteristics of this person as they feel resonant to the characteristics of how you feel about your current relationship to your appetite. Pause the video now to see what your answers are to these questions. Okay, now let's get back to skiing. So I can use this really neat analogy between the natural force of gravity and our desire to control it, and the natural force of appetite and our relationship to the pursuit of controlling appetite to help you stay in peacetime with your own appetite. The novice and insecure skier fears that natural order of the speed as produced by gravity. She's scared of it. The insecure and thought-clouded eater fears the natural order of her appetite. Both the skier and the eater want control. Yes, that's because everyone, being human, our primal desire for a sense of control is not going to go away. So the skier's reaction to controlling her speed to gain safety is to brace against that mountain. The insecure eater's reaction or instinct to control her food intake to be skinny and healthy and happy is to brace against her own appetite. Now, the advanced skier has something that the beginner skier does not have, and that is trust. Trust in herself to use her practice skiing technique, and trust in the natural order of gravity to use and shape the speed when the mountain is steep. She is the opposite of fear. She has excitement to go and ski because the speed fuels the fun. Well, the educated and balanced eater who's been learning and practicing the End Your Food War principles has that same level of trust as the advanced skier. She trusts that hunger fuels her existence. She trusts that food is as essential as the air she breathes and fuels her ability to be a happy, healthy, alive person. She trusts that the nuances of the nutritional composition of the food she eats is designed to be diverse and plentiful. And she trusts that she's supposed to eat lots of different textures and tastes and densities. She trusts all this. Therefore, she's not scared when she's traveling, let's say, and in that travel day, she's faced with pretty limited food choices. She says to herself, okay, I'm supposed to eat many different foods and tastes and densities. So since today my only choices are a thick breaded sandwich at the airport or a whole bag of nuts and dried fruit, there's no need to panic here. I haven't had either of those foods in a while, and I welcome them today, trusting there are no immediate consequences for either of those two food choices in the context of my overall diet. So like the advanced skier, she trusts in herself to use her End Your Food War techniques that she's now learned. Techniques like mindful and intuitive eating from this step, step 5, or emotional processing and riding the wave from step 4, or using her peace treaty for pleasure and acceptance from step 3, or masterfully changing her war-enhancing dietary beliefs from step 2, or separating her relationship with self and her relationship with other from step 1. She trusts that her desire for the food she ends up putting in her body is right and okay and will keep her safe, i.e., not out of control. She trusts that she'll eat only the quantity she needs for taste and pleasure and hunger satisfaction of whichever foods she chooses to eat. So for that educated and balanced eater, bracing against her appetite makes absolutely no sense. Why would she? Instead, she does what the advanced skier does. She welcomes and gets excited about using the natural law in her favor. For the skier, it's gravity. For the eater, it's appetite. The skier is going to get to the bottom of that mountain somehow. It's going to happen, whether it's pleasant and fun or full of anxiety and stress and hesitation and falling. The eater, you, are going to eat. So you can do this thing you're going to do every day by bracing against your appetite and your hunger with stress and fear and anxiety, or you can relish in the natural order of your appetite and eat with love and grace and joy and ease. Which one do you prefer? You have to be in a relationship with food. Your choice is how peaceful or full of struggle that relationship is. If you're bracing against your food or the idea of having an appetite and needing to eat often during the day, it's likely you're going to develop eating behaviors that become kind of problematic for your bottom line, which is your weight and your health. For example, having a fear of your natural given appetite is one of the fastest roads to overeating, and especially eating too much at night, because your body is not going to let you get away with hours and hours and hours of denying food, denying your appetite. So if this idea of you having a choice, whether you brace against your appetite or welcome all of its force and power to your benefit is landing for you, the question is, what would it take for you to wholeheartedly and passionately fall back in love with having an appetite with no fear? What blocks, fears, or beliefs need to dissolve to make that happen? What techniques from this course do you need to learn and embody and master on a daily basis? Here's another series of questions that can guide you into this. Can you decide to fall in love, or back in love if you fell out of it, with simply having an appetite? Where it's like a new best friend that you just can't wait to explore. Who are you and what do you want, Miss Appetite? What do you need? Now at first you might want to apologize to it. oh, I've been ignoring you, or I've been stuffing you down, or I've been scared of you. But I see that, and now I'm ready to change my relationship with you. Now, putting all of my own fears aside, it's time to ask, Miss Appetite, what makes you satisfied and happy? Are there certain influences this time of year that affect you? If I trusted myself with you, what food would you really want? You know, if I trusted my appetite for my true food needs and desires. This is the process of falling back in love with the natural force, because when we can love it and honor it and get intimate with it without fear, that's when we satisfy it. And we do that with natural, unforced yet carved control, just like the expert skier, to have that healthy, slim body. That's the goal. So this lesson is devoted to helping you heal your relationship with your own glorious appetite for a lifetime of staying in eating peacetime. Take some time with the questions presented to you, both at the midway point of this lesson and now here at the end. It's all laid out for you in guided exercise in the action guide. These are exploratory questions that I've witnessed people having such big aha moments around. I'd love to hear about yours. So eat deliciously today and be the expert eater that you are.